Here with Kevin Williams, the director of golf at East Carolina University. We're going to be talking about the upcoming college golf season and the teams at East Carolina University. But Coach Williams, thanks for your time and how are you doing today?
Thank you. Doing great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a little surgery earlier this week. So kids out there, make
Yeah.
sure you're putting the sunscreen on,
Yeah.
and but I had skin cancer removed on my forehead earlier this week, but in the recovery mode, things are good. And it's been a nice summer. Summer hadn't been overly busy, worked a couple of camps, been on the recruiting trail most of July and have a
Mhm.
couple more trips in August before school starts.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, as you mentioned, yeah, sunscreen is definitely important for golfers because you're out there in the sun for several hours. So just tell me more. Just how has the summer been and what are some of the things you've done already this summer and what are still some of the things you're going to do this summer before your seasons begin in September?
Yeah, so usually every year, oh gosh, probably the last 10, 12 years, Dan Brooks, a good friend of mine at Duke, and I
Yeah.
work his golf camp every summer for 2 weeks. And then, July, north, south here. That's a big tournament. We did a camp at our home course this summer as well, and going to the Hope Valley Junior next week. So excited to go there. It's a great tournament, and really for the most part, just trying to get everything ready for the new year. Right,
Yeah.
come up with new practice plans, come up with new ideas to use on the team, and a lot of the summer is like evaluating the previous year and what was good and what was not good, and how can this team be different, and what are some things we can implement or try to implement that will help this team realize their potential.
Yeah, so you mentioned doing some recruiting, going to tournaments and hosting camps. So just what is it like, hosting camps, recruiting, and then what is some advice you give for the junior golfers looking to hopefully maybe someday play college golf?
Well, I think the big thing is,
Mhm.
play summer tournaments, but
Yeah,
don't overplay. Don't overdo your schedule. We try during the golf season to have a week between tournaments if we can,
yeah,
because it allows our team not only to practice on work on the things they need to work on from the last qualifying or the last tournament, but it just kind of gives them a chance to reset. And the mistakes I see with junior golfers is they overload their schedule. So they play like July. It's 4 weeks in July. They try to play every week in July versus play one tournament, have a week off, work on your game, go get a lesson from your pro, play the next week. Have some time built into your schedule, not only for to work on your game, but to also just go do some fun stuff, right? Get away from golf. And, the more you can do that, it's just going to make it easier for you. It'll make your mind fresh because the biggest thing that happens is, junior golfers will get burnt out, right?
yeah,
Because they're playing in so many tournaments. And if you can get your mind fresh, think about the tour,
yeah,
right? On the tour, they don't play every week right in a row. Those guys pick and choose, or girls pick and choose what tournaments they go play in because they want to be fresh mentally. And so that's the biggest thing I see. And the biggest advice I give at the camps
yeah.
is don't overload your schedule. Have time to do things you like to do other than golf, and have time to work with your teacher at home to kind of work on the things that you feel like were weak in this past tournament to get ready for the next one.
Yeah, so I've even talked to college golfers, and this, leads into your point of, competition is great, but also, relaxing and taking the time in between tournaments is also great. I talked to some college golfers over the winter break, and one from Texas was prioritizing, rest, taking a few months off the tournaments. Then another one was, you know, said it was important to keep competing. So for you, what do you prioritize or what's the message for your team? Because in college golf, we have a few months off, November, December, and then you pick it up either end of January or February. So how do you prioritize those few months in the winter that are off from college tournaments for your team?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like for them to play in at least one tournament over the
Yeah,
break if they can, just to stay sharp. I think, as golfers, you're always working towards something. And if you don't have anything to play in over that 2 month break you're talking about, then you can sometimes get stale a little
Yeah.
bit with it from a competitive standpoint. So it's nice to have something to work towards. But at the same time, too, if you're a college golfer, you started practice in January, right? And you had a spring season, you had a summer tournament schedule, then you come and you have the fall. November is a time that I think is a downtime for college golfers.
Yeah.
Take November. Don't do a whole lot in November. Maybe go out a couple days a week just to stay sharp, stay in touch, maybe have fun, play with your teammates or some other friends you have on campus. And then December, you're kind of into exams. Then you can start looking at, okay, we're going to start competing in another 2 months.
Yeah.
Now I can just kind of start developing a plan of how I'm going to attack this next month before I come back to school in January. And so I think the main thing is take a little downtime in November, start ramping things up in December, maybe play in a tournament over the break, and then you're ready to go when you get back for the spring semester the second week of January.
Yeah. So, Coach, let's talk about the upcoming season. College golf will begin in a few weeks. Your teams will begin September 7th and 9th. Your women's team will begin in Pawleys Island, the Golf Week Challenge, and then your men's team will begin in Myrtle Beach at the Myrtle Beach Golf Intercollegiate. So, just tell me, you've been coaching for many years. Just what excites you about an upcoming season in about a month, and what do you look forward to with both of your teams this season?
Well, I think the neat thing about the start of every school year is everybody's 0-0, right? So
Yeah.
everybody's undefeated. Nobody's played anything. We're bringing in two players on both teams, the men's side and the women's side. We graduated two on the men's side. We graduated three on the women's side. It's just anytime you bring new players into the mix and you've graduated players the year before, it's a really brand new team, right? And so it's really fresh. So the excitement level is what gets you fired up. It's the same feeling every
Yeah.
year. As many years as I've been coaching, you have that same little pit in your stomach, the excitement you have for the upcoming year. I think for a women's team, a couple of things. We're very experienced.
Okay.
Three seniors that have played a lot of golf for us. We've gotten better the last 2 years. We had a really good spring, so we're coming off a lot of momentum that we developed in the spring. We have two new players coming in, young lady from England, Isabella Taylor Stokes, and then Madison Rizzo from Virginia. So we're really anxious to see how they mesh with the team, how they compare with the team in qualifying. So we're excited. Obviously, we feel like we can maybe take another step. We were 62 in the country last year. Let's see if we can break the top 50
Yeah.
and having some experience with, three seniors that have played a lot, two juniors that have played a lot. We're very excited for this upcoming year. On the
Yeah.
men's side, our best player is a senior. And our second best player is a junior. We've got again some experience on the men's side. I was really excited to see Nathan O'Neill, a rising junior, qualify for the USAM. So he's going out to the Olympic Club next week to get started with that. Nate had a great year for us, second lowest stroke average in school history. Philip Bonestad, our senior, he had the third lowest stroke average in school history last year. So we're super excited having those two guys back. We feel like we have a good nucleus around them. Holden Rucker was a freshman last year who really came on in the spring. His fellow classmate, Luke Mosley, is a kid that's got a ton of talent. And then we brought in two freshmen, Oscar Crow from Boca Raton, Florida, and Josh Davies from England. So we're really excited again to see those new guys mesh, see how they mesh with the guys on the team, see how they compete
Yeah.
against the other guys on the team. Can they make an impact, right? That's the first thing you're always are thinking as a coach. You're recruiting these players. You want them to make an impact if they can their freshman year because it makes your team better because you return, two seniors, three juniors, and two sophomores, guys that have a lot of experience. And if you can get your freshmen pushing those guys, it just makes your team a lot better. So excited about both teams, and both teams have been getting better. The women made bigger strides this past year than the guys, but as you know, it is
Yeah,
deeper on the men's side.
yeah,
So
definitely.
making movement up. We've steadily improved each of the 4 years that we've been in charge of the men's team. And but it's gradual movement. This past year on the women's side, we went from 82 the first year we took it over to 62 this past year. So it was a little bit bigger jump, but just really excited the direction both programs are heading, and just really excited to get this semester started.
Yeah, so you mentioned bringing in some new freshmen, bringing in some, international players from England. So my next question, I'm interested in talking about, how do you see, a new freshman or an international player? How do you see them, get comfortable and get acclimated, not only with the golf team and with college golf, but just with, campus and university life?
Well, that's a great question. How do the freshmen adjust?
Yeah,
For instance, last year it was really, and every year you really see some that adjust faster than others. You see some that take a while to adjust. Holden Rucker, who I mentioned, struggled a little bit in the fall, but you could see he came back for the spring semester. He was more adjusted to what was going on. He had a better hold on things. He had a great semester for us. The English kids, the international kids, what you worry about, Gavin,
yeah,
is the grass. All right, down here in the South, it's Bermuda grass. They're used to the grass you have up in Connecticut, the bluegrass rough,
yeah,
bent grass greens. It's different chipping out of this grass. That's the biggest adjustment they have to make. And then these kids from England, they're going to get to North Carolina in August and they're going to melt. It's going to be so hot for them and they're not used to that. So to them, usually the internationals, it's a bigger adjustment, climate wise, geographically, than it is the team in school. They
okay,
normally come in a little bit older anyway than the U.S. players. With the U.S. players, you worry a little more about the fact that they're away from mom and dad for the first time, and how are they going to adjust? Are they going to be able to manage their time properly because now they're on their own and they don't have mom or dad taking care of things for them, right? And so that's the thing you worry about with the U.S. players. So it's a balance. With the international kids, we do a lot of chipping. We do a lot of chipping off tight Bermuda lies into the grain. We do a lot of chipping out of the rough. We talk about grain on the greens and reading grain because a lot of times they're not used to it. The nice thing about it, most of those kids travel to Spain or Turkey where it's Bermuda grass. It's just not something they're accustomed to on a daily basis like they are when they get to school. The two English kids are really good players. Really excited about what they can do for us. Oscar from Florida won the Florida State Match Play Championship last summer. Made it to the semifinals, I think, this year. Really good players, got a lot of speed, great athlete. Was a ranked tennis player in high school. Played on his high school tennis team. I think he was the number two player on the team that made it to states. Madison Rizzo is a girl that's got a lot of speed, which is what we were looking for on the women's side, is to increase the speed. Because when we came back 2 years ago on the women's side, we basically we're short. We're a short hitting team. So we're
okay,
trying to change that and become more of a team that's more of a ball striking team where we
okay.
can hit more greens. And if you hit more greens, typically your scores are going to be lower.
Yeah, it makes sense. Not only do the international players have to get comfortable with, East Carolina and college golf, but they have to get comfortable with new courses and new course conditions. That definitely makes sense. Coach, I wanted to talk about you're going to be hosting, several home tournaments both in the fall and in the spring. On your women's side, you'll be hosting the Pirate Collegiate Classic at Greenville Country Club October 6th, 7th, and then in the spring you'll be hosting the Ironwood Invitational at Ironwood Golf and Country Club in April. And then on your men's side, you'll be hosting some home tournaments, the Ironwood Collegiate Classic, September 29th and 30th, and you'll be hosting a spring tournament in March 16th and 17th. So just tell me about, hosting home tournaments. I've asked, coaches this, what's it like, being a tournament host, and then also having coaching duties because that, can be a lot to balance, that week having, hosting several teams at your home tournament and then also having your coaching duties.
So 7 years ago, I was coaching just on the women's side,
Okay.
and I made the really smart decision. We had a rain issue the year before, lightning, rain delay, and I'm on the golf course coaching, trying to figure out if we're going to pull everybody off the golf course, etc. We decided to hire Jason Cox, who worked for the Carolinas Golf Association for years,
Okay.
well
Yeah.
respected rules official, tournament director, etc., to run our tournaments. And 2 years ago, we did the same thing, coaching both. There's no way you can do both tournaments and coach them. And so Jason runs our tournaments for us. And
Okay.
that has been life changing for us, right? It allows us to coach. Jason makes the decisions as far as, if there's a lightning in the area, rain delay, whatever it is, we've got somebody that's to go to for the tournament. Now, for our program, what's great about it is all of our players get to play in one tournament in the fall on both teams and one tournament in the spring on both teams.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's great.
huge for as a program, the worst, tell people this all the time. The worst thing about college golf, and if you watch any basketball, you know what I'm going with this, is we have 9 on the team, 5 travel to the tournament, and there's 4 at home. And they don't feel like they're part of the team, even though they're on the team, but they're not traveling, right? You look
Yep.
at a basketball team, and what are the guys and girls doing on the bench? They're over there dancing and they're cheering and they're hooping it up, trying to cheer their teammates on. And we just don't have that, right? So there's a big divide when we hit the road. And so I feel like it's super important as a coach to provide an opportunity for our players that maybe it's not your best player, right? And so they're having a hard time getting in the lineup, but at least all the work they're putting in, they know they're going to get a chance to play in the Ironwood tournament on the men's side, September 29th and 30th. There's somebody on the women's team that knows they're going to play in a Pirate Collegiate October 6th and 7th. And maybe she hadn't played in the first 2 tournaments. Maybe it's a freshman. Maybe it's Madison and Isabella, and they're not getting a chance to play. They didn't qualify for the first 2 tournaments, but they know I'm working hard because I'm going to get an opportunity October 6th and 7th. And
Yep.
so to me, that's important. It's a lot of work, no question about it. But I think it's real important that we provide that opportunity for them to have a chance to showcase what they can do for our team.
Yeah, it's great. They have, Jason helps you with your home tournaments. And then I didn't think about that, but that's great that, home tournaments, you can give those, like 7 through 9 players, for example, an opportunity to play at your home tournament. So that's great.
Yeah.
So coach, I've talked with a lot of head coaches, but you're director of golf at East Carolina. So I'm interested in knowing, just tell me about some of the things that you do for the golf programs at East Carolina as director of golf.
Well, some of it's fundraising, some of it's
Mhm.
making decisions on recruiting. Both assistant coaches, Mike Cato, who focuses more on the men's side, and Catherine Carson, who focuses more on the women's side. Obviously, we meet regularly to talk about the recruiting side of things. We talk about the home tournaments because Jason runs them. We invite people to it, right? So
Yeah.
I take the fall events, so I invite the teams to the 2 in the fall. Catherine and Mike took over the spring this year. They handled the spring invitation list. And so it's worked out really good, just kind of spreading out some responsibilities. At the end of the day, any decisions regarding tournaments we're going to play in, recruits that we're going to offer, it comes down to me making a decision and agreeing with them. If they have, say, a strong opinion on a certain player and they can talk me into saying, hey, we need to offer this kid, then, show me why, right? And then if I agree to it, then we make the offer. And so it's been really good, the three of us working like this. Catherine and I obviously are focusing on what we can do to make the women's team better. Mike and I are focusing on what we can do to make the men's team better. And it's really worked out well. So far in the 2 years
Yeah.
that we've been together. And I'm really excited about, I tell them each summer, come up with new ideas. What are we going to do during the fall that's going to be different than we had this past year? Because that's what I'm doing all summer is I'm thinking of what can we do? What are some new ideas, et cetera. And so we just challenge them to do that, challenge them on a daily basis to stay in touch with what we're doing recruiting wise, to stay in touch with our players during the summertime to see what tournaments they're playing in, et cetera. So I guess I'm over top of both programs, and my main responsibility is I'm at practice. So Tuesday and Thursday our guys practice. Wednesday and Friday they play.
Mhm.
The women's team plays Tuesday and Thursday, and they practice Wednesday and Friday. So Tuesday through Friday, I'm at practice. I'm helping Mike set up practice for the men's team. I'm helping Catherine set up practice for the women's team. The certain drills we go through, it might be somebody's done with the drills. Coach, can you watch me hit some balls? Can you work with me on Sam Putt Lab? Can you work with me on TrackMan? Those are the things I do. The piece about coaching and being in charge of both that I miss is I'm not at qualifying as much as I used to be. And I love qualifying. I love watching our players compete against each other. I like seeing them under the gun and seeing them under pressure and how they react to that. So we made a little bit of a change. I'm still at practice Tuesday through Friday, but now at least I get to see at least one team play on, say, maybe Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning, and maybe the other team's playing in the morning, one team's in the afternoon. Makes for a long day, but at least I get to see them compete against each other in a pressure setting.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard from some college golfers that that I've talked to that qualifying can even be more pressure than the actual tournament. So,
Yes, I
yeah,
agree with you. And it's
yeah,
difficult too, Gavin, because you're competing against your teammates.
yeah,
You're
definitely.
competing against your roommate, right? And so it's a different dynamics. And I think, to be honest, it's probably more pressure because of that, actually.
Yeah. So I wanted to transition into your background, Coach. You graduated from East Carolina, then you spent time teaching golf. You were a head golf professional, director of golf operations, and you also worked in junior golf, like as a teacher and a coordinator of junior golf. So just tell me, what led you to get into the teaching aspect of golf after graduating from East Carolina?
So, so I wanted to coach basketball
Okay.
and teach in high school, and I had one more semester to go. A good buddy of mine was the assistant pro at Greenville Country Club, and we just started talking. I said, "I can't believe I have one more semester. I'm ready to get out of school." He said, "Well, if you want to get in the golf business, there's a opening at Kinston Country Club for an assistant pro."
Okay.
I happened to call the guy. And the day I called the pro, Martin Beck, they had just approved 2 days before that he could hire an assistant pro. Went to work for him. I was there 18 months. He decided to retire. I was in the right place at the right time. They turned to me and said, "Hey, take over the program. We'll wait till after the season's over, and then we'll hire a new head pro." We got through that summer and the busy time. And in October, when they were going to do the interviews for the new head pro, they decided, "Hey, you're the man. Let's just
Yeah.
go with you as the head pro." And so here I was, 23 years old, head pro of a very active club. What had happened was we had really gotten a junior program going. And so that was the reason they turned things over to me, is they saw my passion for teaching and for coaching
Yeah.
these young people. And so it worked out great. And then in 93, I guess it was, I started teaching Dave Hart. Dave Hart was an athletic director at East Carolina who
Okay.
actually moved and went to Florida State. He was at Alabama. He was at Tennessee. Great guy, wonderful athletic director. I was giving him golf lessons. And he says, when our coach retires, would you be interested? And I said, yeah, it'd be great. Well, Dave leaves and goes to Florida State, but he had told the interim AD Henry Van Zant that, hey, look, when Coach Morrison retires, you need to call Kevin and see if he would be interested. And so I started coaching the men's team in '95 at East Carolina, and shoot, I've been there a long time. And so just I think my passion for teaching and working for young people with young people, I mean, that's what fuels my fire every year is the fact that we've got two freshmen coming in on each side and how they going to mesh with the team. It's going to be a brand new team because the team dynamics aren't the same as they were the previous year. And like I said earlier, everybody starts at 0-0 with the start of the year. So everybody's optimism is super high. And that's just it's just incredible energy, Gavin, at the beginning of the year. And the main thing as a coach is you need to try to maintain that level throughout the whole year, which I
Yeah.
think is really challenging for the job, but it's also a piece that I really enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. College golf is one of the longer seasons because your season's all the way September through May, so it's a long season. So definitely have to have the passion for it. Finally, Coach, I just wanted to ask you about this. Given your passion for teaching and coaching, what has it been like to coach in college golf, both the men's and women's teams at East Carolina? Given you're an alum of East Carolina,
Well, I mean, it's home, right?
yeah,
And you love this place. I'm starting my 29th year at East Carolina. So it's home. It's interesting to me. There's a couple of golf pros that are still here. The pro at Ironwood, a home course. He was at Brook Valley when I first started coaching. So it's really neat that you know everybody, right? And so everybody knows you. And it's just because, we're always asking, Gavin, we're always
yeah,
asking clubs to be able to play. We just spent $1.5 million renovating our practice facility, thanks to Harold Varner III, who played for us,
oh yeah,
graduated in 2012. And he made a transformational gift, he and his family did. We're getting ready to build a 3,800 square foot team clubhouse that's going to start in September and be ready for the 2026-27 year. So there's a lot of positive energy going. And I like to think me being here that long has played a small part in why people are willing to give and invest their hard-earned money with our program. And so it's been super rewarding. People ask me all the time, what's the difference between coaching men's golf and women's golf? And I said, it's no different. It's all
okay,
communication, right? It's all about communicating your expectations. Obviously, the two teams are very different in a lot of ways, as you know. The conversation at dinner on the women's side is not about what's happening in the NBA or the NFL, whereas the guys are talking sports all the time. But
oh
it's
yeah,
just, it's communication with the players and making sure you stay relevant with what is important in their lives right now and what motivates them. And so that's always a challenge that I look forward to each year of trying to connect with each team and try to make our team be as good as they possibly can be.